Peacekeepers being deployed to Ukraine is a possibility, writes Sweden's former Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Carl Bildt for the Globe and Mail. He says that if the Kremlin is actually serious about putting an end to the fighting between Ukrainian forces and Russian-backed militants in the Donbas, Moscow should be prepared to endorse the deployment of international peacekeepers to the region. Bildt then voices his skepticism over the Kremlin's seriousness about resuming normal relations with the West. Indeed, the Kremlin appears to be waiting for Ukrainian President Petro Poroshenko's government to fail and the West to split on the issue and stop taking an interest in the resolution. At that point, perhaps Mr. Putin will be ready to move against Ukraine to secure his own desired long-term outcome. Bildt goes on to talk about the volatile region in East Ukraine and its position in the conflict. He says that the Donbas is in economic freefall and that the region itself is at risk of becoming a situation for which nobody will want to take responsibility. But he brings the point home by arguing that if Russia wants to normalize relations, the Kremlin will have to do just that. Former U.S. Secretary of State Colin Powell's doctrine, "If you break it, you own it," applies to Mr. Putin's intervention in Ukraine as much as to George W. Bush's misadventure in Iraq. Going back to the deployment of peacekeeping missions, Bildt outlines what they would actually entail. Such a mission could then ensure the real implementation of the political provisions of the Minsk II agreement, genuinely free and fair local elections with the participation of all displaced people and refugees. An intervention might work, but only if all sides genuinely want a solution, is Bildt's closing argument. However, given the failing ceasefire agreement and the ongoing fighting between Ukrainian troops and Russian-backed insurgents, it would seem that this is not the case. Ultimately, he says, the task is for the West and Ukraine to stand firm and block Russian efforts to destabilize the Donbas. That's all we have time for today. Join us again tomorrow for another press review. In Kiev, this is Tamara Rosevan for Ukraine Today.